Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, tēnā tātou katoa. Mr. Speaker, I want to take some time and because this will just be the beginning, to acknowledge the okay parts of this budget, the okay parts of the budget. And the okay parts for me is the whānau order, is the government's commitment to additional funding of $15 million over 3 years. I want to acknowledge them for that. I also want to acknowledge, in all seriousness, the raising of free health care for up to 13-year-olds from 6, and I do want to acknowledge that. But apart from that, Mr. Speaker, there is no joy in this budget. There is no joy in this budget. Mr. Speaker, this budget is so underwhelming, and I heard my Deputy Leader earlier this afternoon, David Parker, talk about how overwhelming. Mr. Speaker, when I sat in this House and I heard Bill English read that speech, I too was looking for a commitment to the regions of New Zealand. I was listening for the commitments of job creation where it's needed in the regions. Mr. Speaker, I was listening for and hoping for our families getting a fair go in this country. And Mr. Speaker, I was listening for a much needed injection of resources into housing for our people throughout this country. And Mr. Speaker, I was disappointed. I sat there and I listened. And I saw there was no vision. I saw that there was no vision, and there was clearly no obvious long-term plan of creating an inclusive, a progressive and innovative New Zealand where we all benefit. No, sir. What we saw was the same old of looking after our mates and the people at the high end of town at the expense of everybody else. That's what we heard last week, Mr. Speaker. And, you know, for my point of view, how disappointed that I couldn't even begin to see the benefits that this budget would deliver to the people throughout Ikaroa Rāwhiti and all the other regions in the far north, in the Bay of Plenty and Waiariki, who will not be jumping up with joy with this budget. But, Mr. Speaker, let's look at the budget. Let's look at the budget, and I heard some congratulations to your coalition partner of the Māori Party and for what they've been able to produce. And it'll all come out when we leave this House, when the House lifts in the middle of July and we start campaigning. It'll all come out in the wash. There will be nowhere for anybody to hide when we stand up and we try and get back into this place as member of this House. Mr. Speaker, when I look at what Māori have got in this budget, it is so disappointing. It is so disappointing, Mr. Speaker. 3 initiatives were announced around the Māori Economic Development Strategy. And I heard comments in this House, as I've come into this House, around how advantageous it is to sit at the table. Well, can I make it really clear for our listeners out there? The Māori Party do not sit at the table. They do not sit at the table. There is no minister that sits at the cabinet table where we all know all the decisions are made. But when I look at what we've got, $8 million over 4-year period to the Māori Innovation Fund. That's $2 million. That's all this government thinks Māori are worth in terms of innovation. $2 million a year. $6 million over 4 years for Māori tourism. Now, look, I move amongst my local Māori tourism operators, and I can tell you that side of the House, there is no Māori tourism ventures that are happening in my electorate that I can get alongside that they haven't done it on their own bat, and for me, they will be disappointed that their initiatives, their innovation hasn't been fairly reflected by what's been put in this budget. That's $6 million, like I said, over 4 years. And look, surprise, surprise, I could not figure this one out. $1 million for joint New Zealand Māori and Chinese work to build on cultural and economic relations, or what they've called a stage production. Mr. Speaker, there are many whānaus out there that would love to have $1 million to put a play together. then my point is to that side, to the Treasury benches on that side, the Māori the Māori economy has been completely missed by this government and the opportunities it could bring to grow wealth in this country. No, it has. It has. When I've looked at this, this is a poor contribution for a 30 billion plus economy. You cannot defend this. You cannot defend this because it is poor and it misses the point of unlocking the potential of the Māori economy. Misses it. Misses it. But you know what? When Labour comes into government, you'll see a pumping Māori economic policy that leverages off treaty settlements, that will leverage off the exports that are already, relationships that are already taking place, and that side of the House, 1, doesn't know it, 2, doesn't acknowledge it, and 3, doesn't value it. But Labour will. Labour will. And so here we go. When we look at the Māori Wardens program, another significant program of people that are out there doing the hard yards on the smell of an oily rag. The Māori Wardens, who have got by on the smell of the oily rag, who do some wonderful work for us, some wonderful work around the country, and there isn't an iwi throughout this country that does not acknowledge the role of the Māori Wardens. And what do we have here? Oh, a small cut. A cut. Not a contribution, a cut. So that's what this government thinks of the Māori Wardens. And of course we've got Māori trade training. For a lot of Māori people, their success in life has come through the Māori trade training schemes and the modern apprenticeships that this side, the Labour Party, has introduced, but that side haven't acknowledged, haven't valued and have simply ignored it. And this is at a time when the nation is crying out, particularly in Christchurch in the rebuild, for skilled tradespeople. But no, there is an opportunity to train, but we don't see that because, I don't know, National got a better plan for our people, apparently. Oh no, they don't, because they don't have a plan. But look, when I looked at this budget, Mr Speaker, I wanted to see and hear jobs, whānau and houses. In fact, I remember, Mr Speaker, when I first came in this House and I asked one of the first questions to the Minister of Economic Development, Mr Joyce, and asked, Mr Joyce, what is your government, or what's the national government doing for our people in Ikaro Rāwhiti in terms of growing jobs? And these were the 3 answers that he gave me. He said oil exploration. He talked about a dam and he talked about cycle track. That was the Minister of Economic Development's plan for Ikaro Rāwhiti. Oil exploration, dam and cycle track. It is tired, it is out of touch, and it is not delivering what he said would do in terms of sustainable jobs in Ikaro Rāwhiti. So, Mr Speaker, what will Labour do? Labour has got some innovative, progressive and inclusive policies that will create jobs in the regions where they're much needed, that they will look after families in terms of our best start, and that we, this side, when we're on that side of the House, will commit to building 100,000 homes in our Kiwi build. It's no argument. This side is progressive, this side is inclusive, this side is about sharing the wealth of this country, and that side isn't. It is, that side isn't. And that will be your legacy as you haere atu from this whare come September. Mr Speaker, it's been one of those shameful moments where you look at something like a budget and you know your people, our people, have missed out. Tēnā tātou katoa.
Mr Speaker.
Simon O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a real pleasure.